What's up, guys? It's Pouncy back again today, and we will be doing another Minecraft video. Today, we're going to be doing a Minecraft video on building. So, specifically building hacks. Now, building is one of the it's a very important thing in Minecraft, and it's kind of what started it all. Before survival mode was a thing, it was only creative. And today I would like to show some of the building hacks that I use in Build Battle or just even in servers or SMPs. So, first we are going to be doing shapes for the house, specifically not a square. Now, look at this house. It's a square. It doesn't look that good. You know? It's a square, not many rooms, not much excitement. Now, compared to the layout of this house. Let's get rid of this real quick. And now let's fill this in. Now, doesn't this house look more exciting? And it just looks better than the other one, even without walls. And another thing that I was going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about roofs more in depth later, is the fact that you don't use, say you're making an oak house, you don't use oak stairs as the roof, because then it just looks like you can't see the roof. It's just very hard to see the roof, and it just doesn't look that good. Adding different rooms and stuff like this. Say this can be a chest room, and this can be a furnace room, just like in this house where I did the exact same thing. And this one, you can see. It just looks a lot better visually and looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing than the other one, where it just has no flavor. And if we had chests, and then a furnace, and then a crafting table, it just looks like it would just be like a 2010 house. You know? It just doesn't look good. It just gives a lot more flavor to the house and just gives it a lot more personality than if you just made it a square, which is why I really don't like square houses. Yes, some of them can look good, but majority of them don't look good. Alright, next is block accents. Now, some blocks, which is why I have these ones up in my inventory, but you guys are like, what the frick? Why does he have these blocks in his inventory? They look ugly. So, using blocks is very important. Using specific kind of blocks. Let's go over here. Like this. This does not look good. Even if it had another layer, which I wasn't going to do. But, say it did. It doesn't look good. Or say I used red sandstone as my floor. And then I used endstone as my walls. It does not match whatsoever. And it just looks bad. So, that is why you have to choose specific blocks that match. And you may be asking me, Pouncy, what blocks do match? Well, let me tell you. Calcite is like polished diorite, which is why I really like it. Polished diorite was probably one of my favorite blocks for floors and everything. It just looks pretty nice. Calcite is like that, but it looks better and more clean. Now it can it matches with a ton of stuff, like specifically spruce houses, which I make a lot. Spruce houses, and then we'll get some of this for a different example. It looks very good with spruce, which is why this stuff was over here earlier. I had a different recording, but the audio got cut, so that was a really sad rip. It looks better with spruce. It just matches. Same with smooth stone and smooth basalt. A lot of blocks go pretty well with spruce, and here we'll put it there again. Alright, so you can see now, better, that these blocks match pretty well, and these three would probably be used for floors, while spruce houses are very nice, because they can just be used the walls can just be made of spruce. Another tip is that if you are building a house, and say you're building walls like this, but you think adding just like normal walls like this would be too boring, then you can just make it 2 layers thick, where you just do it like this, and then say you wanted to put grass right here. We'll do moss because I already have that. And then you can do dark oak trap doors. Look very nice in a lot of different builds, and you can basically use them for anything. And then you can do some flowers. Let's go into decorations and say you wanted to use this and this. And then you already have a pretty nice looking house, and you can do glass panes. For this part, or I guess glass would be better because then now we have to fill in this side too. But it already looks very nice compared to if it was outward one, like say like this. I say that a lot. And then you do glass panes right here. We'll do it on a smaller scale, and then you just did it like this. It looks a lot better if it's not out. And then you put the flowers in here. It just looks a lot better. Or you could do flower pots too. But it just looks a lot better most of the time, depending on your build, if it's inward. Or if it, yeah, inward. Next thing we're going to be doing is decor and room size. So, different rooms need different sizes. Like this room, it feels very small, and if we get a bed, it barely fits, especially if it's a double wide bed, because then you walk in, and it's like an apartment. Now, this does not look good, especially if it's just one bed, or not especially, but if it's just a one bed, it's the exact same. You just walk in, and there's a bed right there. It doesn't look that good. Coming back to this house over here, if this just looks a lot better because it has a lot more space and it feels roomy. Another thing you can do, and I use this for if I'm building like factories or like rundown places, you can get quartz stairs and quartz slabs, mainly quartz stairs, and then you build it 1, 2, 3, and then you build slab. So then it looks like it has a lot more depth. Another thing right here, and I saved it like this just so that I can put it in the video. You always want to fill this in. You never want to just leave it and make it so then it only covers what you can see from the outside, because then it would just look like this. Oh, whoops. Because then it would look like that instead of looking like a complete wall, which is what we want. You can also make different things with like a door, and then bell. Or why am I typing bed? And then fence. And then you can build different things with this. Like if you do this, and then you can do a fence. What the frick? Like this. Then you do a bell. Hold up. Bells. And then you can get trapdoors, like I said. Dark oak trapdoors always look pretty nice. And then you can just put it on top for like a grandfather clock. Or you can do another spruce block. Here, we'll just use the slabs because I don't have it in my inventory. Fill that in. Put another trapdoor. And then you can get an item frame. And then a clock. Flock. Basically the same thing. And then different things like this, especially in different kinds of build, can add a lot of flavor to the actual thing, because in here, it's pretty empty. Like, yes, it's a generic room, and it doesn't look bad, but it's also empty. And like here, for room size. This is way too small. If you're doing a chest room like this, you want it to at least be able to hold stuff in this sort of pattern, where it can fit in chests like this. So it at least is 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's a 4 by 4. So 16 blocks, 4 by 4 for a chest room. That is a generic chest room to hold chests. No duh, it's a chest room. But you don't want it to be too small, because if it's too small, it's going to feel very cramped, and it's going to feel like it was an afterthought. Especially stuff like this, where it's inbuilt into the wall. if I would probably just build like a separate basement for blast furnaces and smokers. You should use these because they save you a lot of time, but you always want to have a bit of depth. You can also add detector rails on top of furnaces, and I know everyone's done this, but it looks like a stove if you do that. So there's different hacks to make it look like there's different hacks to make it seem like it looks better. And it just gives a ton of different flavor to the house than if it was just nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can add different clocks or not clocks. I just saw a clock and it made me think of that. But you can add different things like that. Different decor, and you can just like Google Minecraft decor stuff if you really want to do that and you don't know what to build or you don't know how. I might make a different video on some of those to do. But it's just like, it adds a lot to your thing. It adds a lot to your build. Like, say I didn't have this. It would just look blander and it wouldn't look as good. But with that, it looks better. Or with the plants and everything, it looks better. Next, we're going to be doing roofs. Now, on this house, you can see there are lots of different roofs on here. And I did that on purpose. So, on here, you can see there is a flat roof. There are lots of different kinds of roofs. And I built one over here as an example. And so this one has a upside down stairs, or upside down stair, block, and then another stair, then another upside down stair, block, stair, and then repeat that pattern. It's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy stair to make, but also it looks pretty good. Now you may be asking, well, yeah, but I wouldn't really know how to build there, and especially look right here. Well, pretty obvious. And then you can fill it in. But also, if you're doing a big room like this, I would recommend using glass or tinted glass if you're doing something like that. And then you can add stuff like this and, you know, make it look fancy. I'm using Optifine so it looks pretty nice because then the glass isn't separated. But it just looks better if it matches. And if I made this on both sides and it was finished, it would look a lot better. And I know for you guys it looks awful. But that was just an example. And like this roof, it's not always just a point. Sometimes you need some of that diversity in there, where it's just like a normal flat roof, like this one over here, where it's just flat. Or sometimes it can like the flat one, it can just end. It doesn't have to always end in a point. Sometimes it can just, like, stop. And then sometimes it doesn't always have to just be one big one, like over here. This is just one big roof, and it looks awful. It doesn't match at all. And even if it did match, it wouldn't look good. And another tip is you always put it down one, so then it just looks a lot better. And it just looks a lot better if you add one down, and then if you add one out. You add one out, and then you get the slab, if it's a point like that. And then you doot. This is always annoying. And then you can do an upside down stair like that, upside down stairs, and then it looks a lot better, just like these ones over here, except these ones actually match. Now, yeah, these ones actually match, and it goes outward, and it's not the same roof color. It goes outward, has upside down stairs, and is not just, it's not just one big point around the entire house. Because just big points like that do not look good. Next, I built something over here on the old recording that if you're building walls, or like if you're doing a pond, it's not always just flat like this. It's not flat like that all the time. And almost all of the time, it's not always just a staircase either. It's not just going up, 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 up. As you can see, sometimes it's two up, sometimes it's two down, sometimes there's just random divots. Sometimes it's one down, but then in the middle it's two down. It is a lot different, and it's not just a staircase where it just goes one up, like doot, doot, doot. Sometimes, this is kind of a drastic example, but sometimes it goes like this. And it looks weird, but sometimes that's what it looks like. So it's not always just a staircase, and if you do it like that, then most of the time it won't look that good. Because it has different dents in it, and it's not always just around the corners. Sometimes it is, but it's not just always one block around, like this. That looks weird. So sometimes it's just like in the middle of a pond, that's usually where it's deepest. Like no duh. So in Minecraft it's the exact same. It's not just the deepest right here. It's the deepest in the middle. And also, this one is for a path. If you're doing a path, I would only recommend doing 3 blocks. Yes, you can do different blocks like diorite, tough, like you can do it with all kinds of blocks. Cobble, you can do it with all kinds of different blocks. But if you just stick with 3, it looks a lot more clustered if you add tons of different blocks and if you use them very frequently. Like if you just add them all over the place and they're all touching each other and everything, it looks a lot worse than if you just had a couple. Also, don't use too many buttons. Do not go button crazy, putting buttons all over the place. A few buttons will do. You do not need buttons everywhere. Buttons everywhere do not look good. Buttons are not also only exclusive to the path. They can also be around the grass and the coarse dirt. Also, the coarse dirt doesn't always have to be exactly all around. The grass can come in too and be bordering the water as well. It doesn't always just have to be the coarse dirt that is bordering the water. Another thing you can add is Podzol. But Podzol looks a lot different than the other blocks. So if you go Podzol crazy and just add tons of Podzol, it will stick out and it does not look good when it's just a lot of Podzol. I would also recommend adding in grass and tall grass. If you just add tall grass, it looks like it doesn't look good. It looks a lot better with just tall grass and normal grass. With this, it looks weird and it looks like deserted. And then you can also add sugarcane. And another tip, you can put string on sugarcane. This works with bamboo too. Where if you put string on it, it won't grow anymore. Oh, I already did. But it doesn't grow any farther if there's string on top of it. And it's also really hard to see. So, oh, I know I can change it in like my resource packs thing, but it's really hard to see, and it makes it so it can't grow anymore. It's especially useful with bamboo because bamboo just grows up to the sky. And yeah. And with that, I think this is done. So, tell me if you guys want any more building tutorials or like decorations or different roof styles. I would be happy to make more. And or if you my 7. Alright guys, so the last part of the video got cut off, but I was saying I'd make a part 2, and if you really liked this video, then you might like some of my other ones, so maybe check out the our 7 days server. It's basically where we had 7 days to make this really cool server, and we tried our best to make it look cool. And then we did a tour. So, till next time, guys. See ya.